Anyway, welcome to tonight's practice. It's a full moon tomorrow. And so we are going to be working with some of the energies of the full moon. And I've always been very drawn to the moon and the night sky. And so full moon practices are always something I really like. So we're going to start, if you can, start seated, sitting on a bolster or a meditation cushion or a block even. Go ahead and start seated. We're going to start by just connecting with our breath and doing a little bit of grounding and then get into our physical practice. So find your seat. And if sitting is really uncomfortable, you can lay down with your knees bent as well. But we're going to be doing some pranayama. So if you can sit up, that would be most ideal. So you can start with one hand on your heart or your belly. And one hand, your right hand, just lightly touching the earth beside you or in front of you, wherever is comfortable for you to touch. So with all this pull of the moon drawing us up, our energies upward, it can be a really good time to reground ourselves through our breath and through our practice. So we're going to be doing some of that today as well. So close your eyes and begin to connect with your belly breath. So feeling the inhale expand the belly, and feeling the belly draw in as you exhale. And you can even bring in some of the energetic, more subtle aspects of the breath called pranavayu by imagining your breath as you inhale traveling down into the pelvis, and then imagining on your exhale of that breath, that energy moving down through your legs and into the earth, which is a very grounding energy. And as you connect with that belly breath, if you can also begin to connect with your ujjayi breath, which is the breath that we want to continue through our whole practice today. And if you imagine that nasal cavity from the tip of your nose to the back of your throat, like a room, and normally we inhale through the whole room, we want to restrict the breath a little bit so that the breath is traveling on the floor of the nasal cavity and into the back of the throat. And we do that by restricting with the soft palate at the back of our throat a little bit. And so it begins to create a gentle whisper of breath, like the sound of the ocean. And if you can connect with that on both your inhale and your exhale, try to find that ujjayi breath right now. And then staying connected with that ujjayi breath and that downward movement of the energy of the breath. See if you can even out the breath so that both your inhales and your exhales are to a count of either 4 or 6, whatever is most comfortable for you. So finding that equilibrium in the breath. And this type of breathing with the equal inhale and exhale can help to balance our nervous system. And again, with that upward pull of the moon, the energy of the moon can really be drawing us up and into our heads. And the moon also being in Leo can bring a more aggressive quality to some of these emotions that bubble up. And some of these things that have been laying dormant in the shadows can be illuminated with the full pull of the full moon and bring up things that we thought we had dealt with that maybe we didn't. So this grounding and calming of the nervous system is very helpful at this time. And then once you found that equal breath, see if you can even double your exhales twice as long. So if you're inhaling for 4, see if you can exhale for 8. So just gradually building on our ujjayi breath here. And it seems like very simple practices, but these are actually very powerful pranayama practices that are subtle, but yet powerful. And continue for a few more rounds of breath, just like this. Inhaling to possibly a count of 4 and possibly exhaling to a count of 8. Staying connected to your ujjayi breath the whole time and feeling that breath drag through the floor of the nasal cavity and into the back of the throat. Do 2 more rounds like that, inhaling and exhaling 2 more rounds. Right hand still touching the earth. Feeling that groundedness of the stillness and of your breath. And then bring your hands to your heart center as you finish your last exhale. And we're going to go do 1 round of Kapalabhati breath to clear out the old, which is also part of what our practice is about, is clearing and letting go and releasing. So let's inhale and raise the arms up to the sky. And as we exhale, bring your hands down. I'm going to give you 2 options, making a fist with your thumb pointing up, just bringing your arms parallel to the floor. Or if this is too much of a strain to hold while we do Kapalabhati, just release your hands to palms down on your thighs, whichever you prefer. And so again, Kapalabhati is that forced exhale initiated from the low belly, that space below your belly button, and just allowing the inhale to pour in on its own. So take an easy inhale, easy exhale, and then inhale to begin. Keep moving, the lower belly snapping back, forcing out the exhale and letting the inhale pour in, and you can go slow or fast, building some heat and letting go of all the old stale stuff in the lungs and energy in the body. Keep going. And then take 1 nice big inhale, release your hands down, slow exhale out the nose. And then take another big inhale, and at the top of your inhale, retain the breath. Pause at the top of your inhale, and maybe slightly drop your chin. Not forcing it down, but just a slight drop of the chin. Keep holding on to that inhale. Feeling that energy, that expansion, that lift of the collarbones as we continue to retain that inhale just a little longer. And then slow exhale out the nose when you're ready. Exhaling completely. Take another big inhale. And this time as we exhale, we'll retain the bottom of the exhale. So exhaling everything out. The low belly draws in and up, and then pause there with the belly drawn in. Again, dropping the chin if you can. And just stay with that possibly slight discomfort of the holding of the exhale. And then release the belly, lift the chin, and let the breath pour in. And just come back to your regular breath here for a couple of rounds. And then we're going to go ahead and come onto hands and knees. So I'm really hopeful that I'm going to be able to keep the heat off during the practice, but it's already getting really cold in here. So I may have to turn the heat back on for a little while, which is going to affect the quality of the sound, I know, but hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. Or I might turn into an ice cube here. So let your hands be slightly ahead of your shoulders to give a little more space between hands and knees. And we'll start with just 3 rounds of cat-cow. As we inhale, letting the curve of the front body open. And then exhaling, noticing that curve up to the sky of the spine as chin drops. And just moving with your breath and creating that gentle, curved crescent shape like the moon. And on this 3rd round, as you inhale into cow, we're going to exhale back into child's pose. And then oscillating between child's pose and cow pose. Inhaling into cow, And exhaling back, child's pose. And inhale one more time, cow pose. And exhale back into child's pose. So on this next one, you can continue with cow and child's pose, or bend your knees with knees wide, point your toes up, send the hips forward into hanging cobra for a little more front body opening, and exhale back into child's pose. So again, your options for the next 3 rounds are either staying with the cow, child's pose, or moving into hanging cobra and child's pose. Moving with your own breath in and out. One more round like that. And then as you come back into child's pose, we'll pause in child's pose for a couple of breaths. And just allow that grounding that we were cultivating in our pranayama at the beginning of class to continue to ground as we come close to the earth. And if you wish, you can bring your palms together in extended child's pose, either palms down on the earth or point your fingertips up to that night sky. Head down. Take a moment in your child's pose to set the intention of being open like the sky, where anything is possible. So set your intention here and breathe into the intention. And be open to receiving the gifts of your past intentions that come to fruition at the full moon. And try not to have judgment on yourself as our repressed nature and emotions bubble up at this time of the pulling, drawing up of the energy of the full moon. So on your next inhale, we're going to rise up again, curl the toes under, send the hips up and back into downward facing dog. And if you want to walk your dog out a little bit for the first few breaths. And now, if some of you have issues with wrist, again, we're going to work from down dog, and that's what I will be demoing. But you can also bring your forearms down and do our next little sequence from here. Or you can also do it from tabletop where there's a little less pressure on your wrist. So you choose what's most appropriate for you. And I will demo from down dog. You choose the right option for you, being kind to yourself and letting go of that full moon in Leo aggression. So we're going to start with the right leg and float the right leg up with an inhale up to the sky and 3-legged dog. And as we exhale, draw the knee towards the nose and curl it up. We're going to do this 3 times. So inhaling up, exhale, draw it in. And we're just working to move the energy through the energy channels in the body. And now on this next one, we did 3 forward. We're going to bring that knee out to the side. You can shift forward into plank. So 3 times like this. So bringing the knee outside of your arm, out to the side, getting into the hips. And have you done 3 on that? Float that foot down. And let's move directly into the second side. So left leg floats up, 3, knee to the nose. Using your breath, your ujjayi breath, staying connected to the ujjayi breath. And after your 3, knee to nose, we're going outside the arm. So hip out to the knee, out to the side 3 times. Using your exhale to draw the knee in. And on this last one, I might be ahead of you because I'm talking. Float your leg down. Taking an inhale and downward facing dog, and use your exhale to step, walk, or float to the top of your mat. The inhale, the heart floats up, and the exhale, we bow down, and inhale, we rise, circle the arms wide, come all the way up. Take a breath or 2 in mountain pose, and we're going to kind of do like a mountain flow. Again, we're just moving that energy through the body and releasing, because we're really working on releasing for this full moon. So you can have hands on your thighs. Take an inhale, lift up, and as you exhale, bend the knees, let the head be the last to come down. And just moving almost in this like circular motion, kind of like moving between cow pose and child's pose. And just letting it be flowing and using your exhale to release as you fold forward. Do a couple more rounds like that. And if you want to add your arms into it, you can, or keep the hands on the thighs. Let's do one last round. And then as we inhale, coming all the way up and draw into your heart center. So through our practice, I'm going to be using a little bit of visualization with our breath to help ground us, and also sometimes to work with energy throughout the body. So take a step wide on your mat, facing the long side of your mat, and come into star pose. And we worked with this pose a few times before. So reaching out, fingertips out, pressing down into both feet. And as you inhale, imagine the breath traveling to your center. And then as you exhale, imagine the prana, the energy, your breath, traveling in all directions through both fingertips, both feet, and out the top of your head. So 5 directions, like a 5-pointed star. Take one more inhale here into your center. Exhale out in all 5 directions. And then turn your toes so that they are at a 45-degree angle. Bend the knees, reach up to the sky. As we exhale, bend the elbows. So we're going to work kind of again with our spine like cat-cow, and maybe I'll turn sideways here. So as we inhale, we round or we curve the back a little bit, and then as we exhale, draw the arms together and curve the spine in the opposite direction. So the spine is moving very similar to cat-cow. Exhale, we draw inwards. Inhale, open. Exhale, draw it in. Inhale, open. Exhale, draw it in. One more time. Inhale, open. Exhale, draw it in. And then release, come back into your star pose. Bringing your feet parallel, reaching out in all 5 directions. One more breath here, inhaling to center. The exhale sends the breath and the energy in all 5 directions. And then bring your arms down. Turn your left toes to the short end of your mat for warrior 2. If you have to adjust your stance, go ahead and do so. So finding your warrior 2, extending the arms. And start by looking over your front fingers, and we'll find that breath, that grounding breath here. To start, as we inhale all the way down to the pelvis, and imagine your exhale traveling down both legs and connecting with the earth to keep us grounded. And then on your next inhale, we'll keep the same breath moving, reach up to the sky as though you're reaching to the moon, but the inhale breath travels down, and exhale out your feet. So to help with that action of the breath, inhale, reach up, let the breath travel down. Exhale, bring the arms down, send the breath down. Let's do 2 more like that. Inhale. Even though we're reaching up and things are drawing us up and out, we ground ourselves with our breath as we exhale. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Draw down. Moving into peaceful warrior, bring your hand just to the back thigh as you reach up the left arm into peaceful warrior. Again, we're looking up, reaching up, creating that crescent and creating space, but keeping grounded, that tactile sense of the hand on the leg, reminding us to stay grounded. Take one more breath here. If you wish, even bend your elbow, lift the elbow a little bit more and support your head here. And then as we exhale, moving into side angle. So you can start with elbow on the knee, and you might remain here. Reach your right arm, your top arm up to the sky, and get nice and broad, get really long. And then bend the elbow, support your head here again. Give yourself a little support. Lean back, support your head looking up to that night sky. And from here, go ahead and extend that arm, reaching, staying grounded through the lower body. If you decide to bring that left arm to the ground, touch the earth, go ahead and do so. Take one more breath here. And then we'll inhale, come all the way up. Turn your feet parallel to the long side of your mat here once again. Coming back into star pose is our transitional pose here, grounding our 5-point star. And release your hands behind your head. Intertwine your fingers if you're able, or keep hands on hips, your choice. Open the heart as we lift, gazing up to that sky. Exhale, folding forward. Pressing down into both feet, staying grounded. See if you can, in this upside down position, inhale all the way to the pelvis, which is now up. And exhale through your legs into your feet, into the earth. Having the head in this position close to the earth also helps us ground when that energy of the moon that moves the tides draws us up. If you've got your hands intertwined, bring your hands to your sacrum, release your arms down, reach your arms long. Maybe I'll turn sideways here. Reach your arms long, walk your fingertips out, bring a little more weight into the ball of your foot, and create length in the side body and in the spine. Take one more breath here. And then hands come to the hips. We come all the way up. And we're moving to Warrior Two on our second side. So I'm just going to turn my right toes to the other end of my mat. If you need to switch around so that you can still see, go ahead and move your position, bending the front knee, come into your Warrior Two. Again, find that Apana Vayu, that grounding breath. We inhale all the way down to the pelvis. And imagine the breath traveling down the legs into your feet, connecting you to earth on the exhale. And now to challenge that action of the breath, stay with that same visualization of the breath. As we inhale and reach up, inhale the breath all the way down. Exhale out your legs, bring your arms parallel to the floor. 2 more times, just like that. Inhale all the way down to your pelvis as you reach up to that bright moon. Exhale, down your legs into the earth. 1 more time. Inhale, stay grounded even though we're drawing up. Challenging, exhale, arms down. Peaceful warrior. Let your left hand just rest on that thigh, reminding you to remain grounded as you reach up and expand and open that whole right side, looking up to that sky. If you wish, bending the elbow to support the head as you look and reach a little higher. 1 more breath here. Moving into side angle. You can start with forearm on your knee, and you might stay here. Rotate the left side body up to the sky as you reach that left arm up. Get really long. And then option to bend the elbow. Support the head as you lean the upper body back. And then option to extend that arm straight. An option to bring that right hand to the floor if you did it on the first side. Get nice and long here. See if you can stay for 1 more breath, staying grounded through the feet as we extend through the whole body. And then rise up, come all the way up, coming to our 5-point star. Once again, reaching out. Inhale to your center. Exhale through hands and feet, legs and arms and the top of your head. 1 more breath here. And then turn your feet 45 degrees out. Once again, coming into goddess pose. We're going to switch this up a little bit. And I'm going to turn sideways, actually. So the first time, We inhaled with our arms open. This time we're going to change it up and add lion's breath. So I'm going to exhale here with my arms open, and then inhale, bring my arms together, which feels counterintuitive. So on the exhale, as I open the arms, we're going to stick out the tongue, exhale the breath out the mouth in lion's breath. So I'm inhaling at center, exhale, inhale to center, exhale, one more time, inhale, center, and exhale, rise up, your star pose, our 5-point star, and then turn your left toes to the top of the mat, hands come down, step back, downward facing dog. I hope you guys are a lot warmer at home than I am here. You warmed up from your lion's breath and your movement. So anytime we go through a vinyasa, you always have the opportunity to come into child's pose or stay in down dog. Otherwise, I'll instruct the vinyasa coming forward to plank pose. Using your exhale to lower down, and especially because this is our first one, you might lower down knees, chin, chest. And everyone come down to the belly, extending the feet long, lifting up right leg, lifting up left leg, and creating as much length as you can. And then the first one will just come up into a baby cobra, extending through the back of the head, releasing down. Intertwine your fingers behind your back, above your bum if you can, and extend as you draw the shoulders back. Extend the knuckles towards the back of your knees and extend the legs as long as you can. Root the pubic bone down. Inhale, rise up. Let the breath pour in on every inhale. The belly's drawn away from the floor, but the pubic bone remains grounded. One more breath here. And exhale, release down. I'm going to press up and back child's pose. Come back to your intention for a moment. Finding your breath, taking a little break to release any tension in your back. And then when you're ready, find your way into downward facing dog where we all meet. And we're going to start with, let's start with the right leg. Inhale, right leg up to the sky. As we exhale, draw that knee through, place that foot down, use your right hand to help it get through if you need to. And we're going to rise up into a crescent moon. So staying up on the back feet, or back foot, I should say, on the ball of your back foot, rising into your crescent moon. So again, we're reaching up to the sky, which lifts our energy, which is already drawing up because of the full moon. So you can bring that Apanavayu into this pose by exhaling down into your legs through the feet, even though we're reaching up. And now we're going to take a hold of our left wrist with our right hand. Sorry, I'm going to turn so you can see better. And we're going to side bend, come into a crescent shape with our body over to the right side. So I'm holding left hand with right hand, left wrist with right hand. And then coming back to center, stay in this position, just switch hands, grab the right wrist and over to the other side. So we're doing both sides without changing our leg position here. Come back to center, circle your arms around to the heart center, and then leaning forward over that front thigh, we come into a twist. So you can keep your hands at heart center in our twist here, or you can reach one hand to earth, one hand to sky to deepen the twist on the outside of your knee, or even the inside. You can look to the ground to keep you grounded or look up to the sky. Take one more breath here. And then release the hands down. Step back into downward facing dog. If you wish to take a flow here and meet us back in down dog, Go ahead and do that right now. If you wish to take child's pose, take a little break before we do second side, go ahead and do that. Or maybe you just want to stay in downward facing dog. Once you're in your downward facing dog, let's bring the left foot through, inhaling to three-legged dog. Exhale, draw it through, step it up between your hands, rising crescent moon on our second side. So grounding through both feet, through the ball of your back foot. Rise up with that strength and ground through the legs. So we're going to come into that same crescent sharp shape. Left hand grabs the right wrist. Inhale, lengthen that whole right side up and over to the left. Breathe deeply into that right side body. And coming back to center, circle the arms wide, bring them back up, grab the left wrist with the right hand, side bend over to the right side. One more breath here. We come back to center. Hands come through your heart center. Inhale, reach over that front thigh with the torso, twist to your left, either hooking the elbow on the knee, hands stay at heart center, or open wide. Bottom arm comes to the earth, top arm reaches to the sky. So we're staying grounded by touching the earth here, even though we're reaching to that higher energy in the sky. One more breath. And then unwind, step back. Downward facing dog once again. Same option as before. Go ahead and come to child's pose if you wish. Excuse me. Go ahead and stay in down dog or move through your vinyasa and meet us back into downward facing dog. And once you get to dog, just taking a couple of breaths. Catching your breath, making sure you haven't lost your ujjayi breath. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Take one more breath wherever you're at. And at the bottom of your exhale, stepping, walking, or floating to the top of your mat. The inhale, the heart floats up, shoulder blades draw back. Exhale, bow. Inhale, rise up. Coming into your mountain pose at the top of your mat. So we're going to do a few more crescent shapes with our body from standing. So let's reach up to the sky, just like we did in our crescent. Grab the right wrist, step the right foot back behind you, bending your front knee, and side bend over to your left. So I'm holding right wrist, and my right leg is out behind me. Breathing into that crescent moon shape here. One more breath. And then step hands to your heart center. Let's do our second side. Inhale, reach up, grab your left wrist, step your left foot out behind you, bending your front knee. A nice side bend, releasing all that tension in your side body. It is said that when we have a lot of resentments, we hold it in our side body. So helping us release. And then coming back to center, hands through your heart center. One more little standing pose we're going to do, bringing right foot behind the left. Take an inhale, reach up to the sky. As we exhale, fold forward and see if you can stay grounded in both feet as you come into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow down. Inhale, press into both feet evenly and come all the way up. Hands through your heart center. Come into mountain pose. Let's do our second side. Left foot behind right. I know you can't see my feet, but they're almost side by side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. You'll feel this gets into the hips in a little different way than when our feet are parallel. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Press into both feet evenly and come all the way up. Draw into your heart center. And come back into mountain pose with feet parallel. Release your hands. If you have a block handy, you can bring a block to the top. We're going to work in some lunges and twisted monkey. So bring your block there if you'd like to have a block to bring the floor up to you a little bit. Excuse me. So inhale, reach to the sky. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway, and exhale, we're stepping the right foot back. So we're in our lunge, and this is where if you have a couple of blocks, you can bring hands to the block to give you a little more space between the body and the floor. So let's just start with a little opening in the hamstrings here. Take an inhale in your lunge, exhale, shift it back into reverse lunge, lifting the left toes. Let's just do this 3 times. Inhale forward, staying connected with your ujjayi. Exhale back 1 more time. Inhale and exhale. This time as we come forward to inhale, we're going to move into lizard pose. So walking that left foot out, bringing both hands inside. So depending how tight you are, you might have hands on blocks. This might be where you stay, and you might even drop that back knee if you need to. Or some of you might come to your forearms on a block. Some of you might come all the way down to forearms on your mat, but don't force it. Remember that energy of the moon, full moon in Leo, can make us aggressive with ourselves. Be kind. So find the proper space for you to come into lizard pose and release whatever needs to be released here. Whatever's bubbling up, whatever that moonlight is shining a light on, those hidden emotions. Just honor without judgment what comes to light. This is a powerful time to release our limiting beliefs and our negative thought patterns. Take 1 more breath here. If you don't have your knee down, everybody drop a knee down. I'm going to give you a couple of options here. We're going to move into a twist. You can come up to straight arms. Play with bending that back leg, pointing the toes up to the sky. Then you can play with, I realize I'm backwards here, left hand to your left knee. Begin to open the heart to the left. You might play with lifting that left arm up to the sky and just notice how that changes what you're feeling in that back leg, the hip flexor. You might reach towards your back toe. If you're not feeling much here, and I think most of you probably are, you can also come to your right forearm and go through the same process. Opening both in a twist as well as opening those hip flexors. Whatever variation you're in, take 1 more breath and then begin to make your way back up, lifting the back knee, coming into our original lunge and making your way back into downward facing dog. And if that means you make your way back from tabletop, that's fine. Find your way back. And again, child's pose, taking a flow or staying in down dog. And then as we all meet back in downward facing dog, we're going to move into our second side. So float right leg up to the sky. Give it a nice little stretch after that hip opener. Step it up between your hands. So we start in our lunge again. Have your blocks here if you wish to be using your blocks. Reverse lunge and lunge 3 times. So exhaling, reverse lunge, lift those right toes. Inhale forward to your lunge 2 more times. Exhale, ujjayi breath. Inhale, lengthen forward. Last one. Exhale, ujjayi breath. Inhale, ujjayi breath. And now we walk that right foot out to the right edge of your mat, and then choose where your lizard pose is going to take you with straight arms or hands even on blocks. maybe dropping the back knee, maybe using a block or two to bring forearms to, or without forcing, allowing to come to forearms, and knee can be lifted or knee can be down, or you can even move between the two. And let's all then lower that back knee. Might come up to straight arms or hands on blocks, and then play with bending the back foot. So don't be on your kneecap. So as I come forward here, I'm actually on kind of the bottom of the thigh or the very top of the knee. So it takes the pressure off your knee. Right hand can come to your right knee and begin to open to the right. Maybe reaching up, maybe keeping hand on the knee, maybe reaching towards the back foot into twisted monkey. Again, other option, left forearm down rather than left hand as you open into your twist. So this is opening the hip flexors as well as the front thigh quadricep muscles. One more breath. And then we release down. Lift the back knee, downward facing dog. Stretch it out however you want to. Sometimes three-legged dog or fire hydrant feels really good. Just play with whatever feels good. Maybe it's taking a flow is what you really need. So take whatever variation you wish, and we'll meet back in downward facing dog. We've got one more lunge variation we're going to play with. Actually, let's take an inhale and down dog, and the exhale, we step, walk, or float to the top of your mat. Inhaling, heart lifts. Exhale, belly draws in as we fold. Inhale, we rise and draw into your heart center. We'll bring you upright for a minute here before we move into some more poses. Take a couple breaths in your mountain pose. Re-grounding into the feet, slight bend in the knees. And then let's inhale. No, I'm going to do it this side. Inhale, reach to the sky. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift and lengthen. And this time we're going to step the left foot back. So stepping the left foot back, we're going to turn our toes to the right side of our mat. Awkward lunge. So planting my left hand, turn my toes. So I'm on the outside blade of my back foot. So my ankle's lifted. My right toes are pointing to the right. And you're probably knowing why we call this awkward lunge. So turn your grounded arm out to protect your shoulder and lift up under the shoulder. As we inhale, reach overhead. And as we exhale, let the hips sink towards the earth. Let your hand come down. Inhale, we lift up to the sky and overhead. Exhale, opening in the side hips. One more time. Inhale, overhead. Exhale, sink towards the earth. And then inhale, up and over. Come back into your lunge and step the right foot back. Downward facing dog. Let's step that left foot forward now and do second side. Stepping it up between your hands. Now both feet turn to the left side. So you're going to get my back, coming onto the outside edge of your right foot with ankle lifted and left toes pointing to the left. Rotate that right arm out to protect your shoulder. And then same thing. Inhale, lift up to the sky as you reach overhead. As we exhale, let the hip come towards earth and your hand comes towards earth behind you. Two more times. Inhale, up and over. Exhale. So we're creating that crescent shape with our body in a very different way, but the shape is the same. And on this last one, let the hand come down, rotate on your back foot, Downward facing dog. Take child's pose for a couple of breaths. If you really feel like you need that flow, again, being kind to yourself, not being aggressive with your body, go ahead and do that if that's what you need. Otherwise, meet us back in child's pose for a couple of breaths. So as you come up out of your child's pose, find your blocks or your prop. We're going to move. No full moon class would be complete without a half moon pose. So Claudia, I know that's your favorite. Find your blocks, make sure they're at the top of your mat, and then come back into downward facing dog. So I'm going to start with left foot so that I'm not having my back to the camera. So float your left foot up to the sky, three-legged dog. As you exhale, step that foot up between your hands. My left hand is going to come to my block if I'm using a block. You want your block about a foot ahead of your little toe side. So you're not right beside your little toe, but there's space for your body here. And then shifting forward, float the right leg up. Now, some of you might keep both hands down to help support you. Some of you might bring, might be me today, right hand to your right hip. Or maybe you reach that hand up to the sky. So that same breath we did in star pose when we were standing, we're going to bring into this pose here in half moon pose. So as you inhale, imagine the breath traveling to your center. And as you exhale, the breath travels all 5 directions, both feet, both hands, and the crown of your head. See if you can move through the discomfort, whatever you're feeling in this pose, for a couple of more breaths. Some of you might even move into a bind by bending that top knee, grabbing that foot, and opening. Some of us might fall out of the pose. Take one more breath. And then bring the right hand down. Bend your standing leg and softly place that right foot back down. Step back, downward facing dog. Let's move into your second side. So right foot steps forward. Right hand to your block, about a foot ahead of the little toe side of your foot. Shift forward, and you can start with a bent standing leg and then move to straight and move through the transitions into your half moon pose. Reaching up to the sky, keeping hand on hip or hand on the floor. Find that breath of inhaling to center and exhaling in all 5 directions, both feet, both hands, and the crown of your head. Staying for a few more breaths, concentrating, focusing on this expansive breath in your half moon pose, or taking option to move into your bind chapasana. One more breath here. And then your left hand comes down, bending your standing leg, gently place your left foot down, downward facing dog. From our downward facing dog, we're going to move directly into pigeon pose. If you need one last flow before we begin to wind it down, go ahead and do that now. And then meet us in downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg up. And exhale, draw that right knee forward, setting up for your pigeon pose. So walking, see, I'm in the wrong direction, walking the back foot back. Lifting up through your center, maybe coming to fingertips or blocks. Getting nice and long. And then we begin to walk, keeping the spine long down. Now, normally we go to right and center. Today, I'll invite you to play a little bit, and we did this last full moon class as well. Walk over towards the right side, and especially extend and lengthen through that left arm. So we're almost over that right leg or that right thigh. So a little bit different shape for our pigeon, and a little bit different feeling in your pigeon pose. And if you can bring your forehead to a block, or to maybe stacked fist if you need that extra support and don't have a block, or maybe even to your mat or to the floor. And again, we're really looking for release here, letting go of those thought patterns and being open to possibilities during this powerful time of release. Got a couple more breaths here. And then slowly begin to lift up, make your way to center. And then finding your way up. Some of you might feel like you need a little bit more opening. Some of you are going to go back into child's pose or downward facing dog, but you can also bring the left forearm down, kind of like our twisted monkey pose, but in pigeon pose. So my left forearm is down. My right hand is reaching back towards my back foot, which I bent. Staying for a couple more breaths, or moving into down dog or child's pose before we do second side. And then inhaling, left leg up, moving into pigeon with our second side, walking the back leg back, coming upright, maybe hands on blocks. And then we're going to stay long through the spine as we walk down. Excuse me. And again, we're creating that crescent by moving the body over to the left thigh. So I'm shifting and reaching through my right arm and creating that C shape with our upper body. And again, grounding the forehead, depending what's happening in your body today, with something that you can let the forehead rest on is ideal. And finding your ujjayi breath, even in this somewhat resting pose for some of us not so resting. But staying connected with that ujjayi breath, because it's the breath on which the prana or the life force travels. A couple more breaths here. And then again, you have the option to start moving directly back to down dog or child's pose, or as you come to center, right forearm comes down, the back knee bends, left hand reaches back towards the right leg. And then either staying for a couple of more breaths or finding your way back into down dog, child's pose, maybe one last flow. And then eventually we're all going to meet on your seat. So I'm just going to adjust the computer screen a little bit. So we have a couple of options. Moving into Gomukhasana or cow face. I need socks, it's getting really cold in here. So you can do Gomukhasana if it's not available to you at this time. And Gomukhasana is this pose, by the way. So if this is doable for you, we're going to start with the right leg down. So you can do half Gomukhasana, keeping that right leg straight. And I just bring my left leg over. I'm working towards having my one knee over top of the other. Depending what's going on in your hips, that might not be happening for you, and that's okay. So just bringing that leg over wherever it meets for you. Some of you more flexy friends, you might have both legs bent. And if you're doing this variation, I really like pressing my hands down into the arches, shifting my sit bones so they both ground down here. But either way, whether it's this variation or this one, choose the one that's appropriate for you, again, without aggression. And then we're inhale, reach up to the sky, taking left wrist with right hand, lengthen up to that beautiful full moon sky, and then coming into our crescent shape. And back up to center, switch wrists, over to the other side. I have to admit, it's actually harder with a straight leg than it is with both knees bent. Release your hands down. If you have the space, you might take this opportunity to fold forward in whichever variation of the pose you're doing. Or you might support your hips as you sit up nice and tall. Again, being kind to yourself. And then as you come back upright, lean back, release the legs up to the sky, bring them wide, bring them back together. This time, left leg is coming down, so either straight or bent. And coming into Gomukhasana or half Gomukhasana on second side. And if you're in the both leg version, again, you can press into your arches and shift those sit bones down. And then let's do our crescent moons to both sides here again. So really grab whichever wrist and over to the opposite side. Coming to center and doing other side. Coming to center, releasing hands down, either behind you or folding forward, depending what is available to you today, in this body today. And then coming upright, we're going to lean back and release the legs up to the sky. Open them wide, get a nice stretch. Come back, both legs down, coming into Paschimottanasana. Inhale up and exhale into your forward fold, staying long through the spine as you fold forward. Don't worry if you don't touch your feet. You might just be with hands here, but we're lifting up and over and reaching forward. So if you've got a hold of your ankles or your toes, inhale and lengthen up just like we do in our halfway lift in our sun salutations. And then exhale, lengthening the heart forward, fold forward, and holding on to whatever is comfortable for you today. Just for a couple breaths. And then let's come into our halfway lift again, either grabbing ankles, shins, or toes. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Reach the arms long and come all the way up. And release the hands down. Bending your knees, lying down on your back. Knees bent. We're just going to do a round of bridge. So setting the feet up, hip width, grounding down through the feet. Using the inhale to lift the hips up, walking shoulders under, either intertwining the fingers and pressing the arms down as you lift the chest up. Press the back of the head into the floor so none of your vertebrae of your neck are resting on the floor. Or you can also have elbows bent, fingertips pointing up to the moon and that full moon sky. As you inhale, you'll notice the chest moves towards your chin, but do not move your chin towards your chest. In fact, lift your chin slightly and press the back of the head down so that the neck has a nice curve. One more breath here in your bridge pose. And then slowly we release it all down. Lift both feet, reaching up to the sky here. If you need, you can put hands under your hips to make it a little easier. So allowing our feet to reach to those cosmic skies up above, as we allow our upper body to be grounded on the earth. And then just gently bending the knees so shins are parallel to the floor, arms come wide, come into a twist. Let your head turn towards the left as knees come to the right. And as you exhale, let the belly twist towards the left, allowing that left shoulder to come down. And then coming back to center on an inhale, and exhale over to the second side, looking to the right this time, opposite your knees, belly twisting the same direction as your gaze. Use your next inhale to come back to center. Give yourself a nice hug. And then moving into your final Shavasana. We're going to have a nice little full moon meditation after Shavasana. So set yourself up with a blanket, with socks, bolster under your knees, or a rolled up towel or blanket. Whatever you need to be comfortable. And as you soften down into your Shavasana, to allow your body, every cell, to absorb all the energy you've created with your breath, with your prana, with your movements. Taking a nice big inhale once you're down on your back, and exhale, just letting the body sink into the earth. And then bring your awareness to your breath, letting go of the ujjayi breath, but just bringing awareness to the equanimity of your breath and evening out your inhales and your exhales. So maybe your inhales a count of 6, let your exhale be a count of 6. And then as that becomes easy, see if you can begin to exhale twice as long. It might not happen the first round, but build up to the exhales being twice as long to help ground, to help relax the nervous system and bring everything back down. And as you settle into your Shavasana, perhaps you can begin to visualize that full glowing white light of the moon above you, illuminating allowing those emotions to bubble up and be released. And just honoring whatever comes to you during this rest in Shavasana without judgment.
I invite you to bring your awareness back to your breath. And begin to slightly deepen your breath. And then making a conscious decision as to whether or not you want to remain lying on your back or move to an upright position for our short meditation. Taking your time to make your way there if you are changing positions. Keeping your eyes closed or softly focused. And retaining that sense of relaxation that you were just in, even as you come to your seat. And if you have changed your position to a seat, take a moment to reground. Again, maybe ending as we started with one hand on your heart, one hand touching the earth. Breathing down, down, down into the pelvis. And exhaling down your legs and into the earth. To counteract that upward rising energy, the pull of the full moon above us. And then coming back to your breath once again, and finding that equal breath, whatever that count is for you. And then bring to your mind's eye that night sky with that full round moon of silver light and all the twinkling stars surrounding the endless sky in all directions. And begin to imagine as you inhale that you're drawing in that moonlight, that silver white light, all the way down into your center. And as you exhale, that healing light spreads all throughout your body. Each inhale drawing more of that cooling yin feminine energy, regardless if you're male or female, all the way into your center. Allowing it to swirl in a clockwise direction all the way to the center of your belly. And as you exhale, it spreads out into all parts of your belly. And as you continue with this visualization of drawing in this cosmic energy, imagine inhaling the stars, the energy of the stars, the light of the stars into your center. The stardust, the energy of all the planets in our galaxy and beyond. And as you exhale, spreading that energy out into every cell of your body. Inhaling that calm, healing moonlight, starlight, the energy of the cosmos above. The exhale spreads it throughout the body. And just sitting like this for a few more breaths. Allowing that cosmic energy to become part of you. The glow of the moon and the dust of the stars. With each breath. And then slowly bring your hands to your heart center, palms to touch. Begin to rub your hands together and create some heat, the heat of the energy. And then cup your hands with your eyes closed with your hands. Cup your eyes with your warmed up hands. And let the energy of the eyes move into your hands and the warmth and energy of your hands move into your eyes. And then slowly open your eyes into your hands. And slowly bring your hands back to your heart center. We'll seal our practice, close our practice with one Om. So taking an inhale. Take a moment to feel that vibration. Namaste.